1987, San Antonio Convention Center, the Tejano Music Awards. A young woman walked onto the stage wearing a purple sequined outfit that caught every spotlight in the room. She was 16 years old. Her name was Selena Quintanilla, and when the announcer said, "Female Vocalist of the Year," half the audience stood and cheered. The other half sat with their arms crossed, faces stone cold. From somewhere in the back, a man's voice cut through the applause. "Get back to the kitchen!" Selena's smile didn't falter. She gripped the trophy, leaned into the microphone, and said 5 words that would echo through Tejano history. "This is only the beginning." She didn't know it yet, but she'd just declared war on an industry that had spent 40 years making sure women knew their place. And that place was never on stage. What happened over the next 6 years didn't just change Selena's life. It shattered every rule Tejano music had built. But the man who fought hardest to keep her out wasn't a record executive or a radio programmer. He was the biggest male star in Tejano, and he genuinely believed a woman couldn't do what he did. This is the story of how Selena Quintanilla walked into a room full of men who said no, and walked out a legend. Tejano music in the 1980s was a brotherhood. Literally. The biggest acts were all male: Little Joe y La Familia, La Mafia, Mods, Ram Herrera. The sound was accordion-driven, conjunto-rooted, born in the cantinas and dance halls of South Texas. It was working-class Mexican-American culture set to music, and it belonged to men. Women could sing backup, women could be dancers, women could sell tickets at the door. But headlining, recording albums, winning awards, that wasn't how it worked. The unspoken rule was simple. Tejano was too rough, too raw, too rooted in machismo for a woman to command respect. The stages were in beer-soaked venues where fights broke out regularly. The crowds were men who worked construction and oil fields, who wanted their music loud and their beer cold. A female voice? Too soft? A female presence? Too distracting? A female headliner? Impossible. In 1983, a 12-year-old Selena started performing with her family band at her father's restaurant in Lake Jackson, Texas. Abraham Quintanilla, her father, had been a musician himself in the 1960s. He knew Tejano, he knew the industry, and he knew exactly what he was doing when he put his daughter front and center. "They'll never take you seriously," he told Selena during one of their early rehearsals. "You know why?" "Because I'm young?" Selena asked. "Because you're a girl," Abraham said bluntly. "In Tejano, that matters. So you need to be twice as good. No, 3 times as good. And even then, they'll find reasons to say no." But nobody expected what would happen when Selena actually got on stage. By 1985, Selena y Los Dinos were playing every venue that would book them. VFW halls, quinceañeras, weddings, small-town festivals. The pay was terrible, sometimes $50 for a 5-hour set, but word was spreading. People who saw Selena perform once came back. Then they brought friends. It wasn't just her voice, though her voice was extraordinary, a powerful, clear instrument that could shift from tender balladry to explosive energy in seconds. It was her presence. She commanded stages like someone who'd been doing it for 20 years, not 2. She connected with audiences in a way that felt personal, intimate, even in rooms packed with hundreds. The Tejano establishment noticed. They just didn't know what to do about it. Enter Emilio Navaira. Emilio was everything Tejano music wanted in a star. Handsome, charismatic, talented, and male. He could sing, he could play, he had the look. By 1987, he was the hottest name in Tejano, selling out shows across Texas, winning awards, getting radio play. He was the golden boy, and he knew it. The first time Selena met Emilio was backstage at the 1987 Tejano Music Awards, the same night she won her first female vocalist trophy. Emilio was surrounded by his band, laughing, celebrating his own wins. Selena walked past, trophy in hand, still buzzing from the stage moment. Emilio looked up. "Hey, nice dress. You performing tonight or serving drinks?" His band members laughed. Selena stopped, turned around slowly. "I'm performing," she said, her voice steady. "You're watching. Get used to it." Emilio raised his eyebrows, smiled. "Confidence. I like that. But talent wins awards, not attitude." Selena looked directly at him. "Good, because I have both." She walked away. Emilio's smile faded slightly. One of his band members leaned over. "She's got fire, man." "She's got youth," Emilio corrected. "That fades." But he was wrong, because what Selena had wasn't youth. It was hunger. Over the next year, Selena's performances became the stuff of legend in the Tejano circuit. She wasn't just singing, she was redefining what a Tejano show could be. High-energy choreography, costume changes, audience interaction that felt electric. She studied everyone. Madonna's stage presence, Janet Jackson's dance moves, Michael Jackson's ability to own every second of a performance. And she applied it all to Tejano. The traditional Tejano crowd didn't know what to make of it. Some loved it. Others felt like she was violating something sacred, that she was making Tejano too flashy, too pop, too female. Emilio was in the second camp. "She's turning Tejano into a variety show," he told a reporter in 1988. "That's not what this music is about. Tejano is raw, authentic. It's about the music, not the spectacle." When Selena read the quote, she didn't respond publicly, but privately she doubled down. More choreography, better costumes, bigger stages, because she understood something Emilio didn't. Tejano could evolve, or it could die, and she was betting on evolution. Have you ever had to prove yourself to people who decided you weren't good enough before you even started? That was Selena's reality every single day. 1989 was the turning point. Selena released her breakthrough album, and suddenly she wasn't just a live act. She had radio hits. Real, undeniable, impossible to ignore hits. The Tejano Music Awards that year became a battleground. Selena was nominated in multiple categories, including several where she was competing directly against male artists, not just in the female vocalist category. This was unprecedented. This meant the industry had to decide. Was she just the best female act, or was she one of the best acts, period? Emilio was nominated in the same categories, and for the first time in his career, he felt threatened. Backstage before the ceremony, Emilio's manager pulled him aside. "You see the girls' nominations?" "I saw," Emilio said, adjusting his tie. "She's in your categories, all of them." So if she wins, that's the story. Girl beats the boys. You understand what that does? Emilio understood perfectly. If Selena won against male competition, it meant the female vocalist category wasn't enough to contain her anymore. It meant she was real competition. "She won't win," Emilio said confidently. "The voters know what Tejano is supposed to be." But when the envelopes opened, Selena's name was called. Again and again and again. She won Female Vocalist. She won Female Entertainer. And then she won Album of the Year, beating Emilio head to head. The crowd erupted, half in celebration, half in shock. Emilio's face went red. His manager whispered, "Smile, cameras are on you." Emilio forced a smile, but his jaw was tight. When Selena walked off stage with her third trophy of the night, she had to pass directly by Emilio's table. He stood up, intercepted her. "Congratulations," he said, loud enough for nearby people to hear. Professional, gracious, then quieter, just for her. "You know why you won tonight? Not because you're better, because you're different. A novelty. That wears off." Selena looked at him, really looked at him. The biggest male star in Tejano, visibly rattled by a 18-year-old girl. You're right, she said calmly. I am different. I work twice as hard because I have to. Every show, I prove myself. You? You just show up and expect applause because you're Emilio Navaira. Emilio's smile vanished. Careful, Nina. This industry eats people who get too confident. Then I guess you're next, Selena said, and she walked away. The story spread through the Tejano community within days. Selena had called out the king, and the king didn't know how to respond. What Selena did next shocked everyone, because she didn't slow down, she accelerated. 1990 through 1992 were the years Selena went from Tejano star to Tejano phenomenon. She toured relentlessly, sometimes 250 shows a year. Texas, New Mexico, California, anywhere there was a Mexican-American community that wanted music. Her shows sold out, not just in small venues anymore, but in major concert halls, 5,000-seat theaters, 10,000-capacity arenas, numbers that male Tejano acts had never even approached. The culmination came in 1992, the Houston Astrodome, 61,000 people. No Tejano act had ever sold out the Astrodome. Not La Mafia, not Little Joe, not Emilio. It was considered impossible. Tejano was regional music, niche music. You couldn't fill a football stadium. Selena did it. The night of the concert, February 26, 1992, backstage was controlled chaos. Selena was 20 years old, about to walk out in front of more people than she'd ever seen in one place. Her family surrounded her. Her band was ready. The sound check had been perfect. Abraham pulled her aside. You know what this means? It means a lot of people bought tickets, Selena said, trying to lighten the mood, but her hands were shaking. It means you just proved every single person who said a woman can't do this wrong. Every single one. Emilio sold out arenas. You sold out a stadium. At that exact moment, 30 miles away, Emilio Navaira was watching the news. The local station was covering the concert. Selena Quintanilla makes Tejano history tonight at the Astrodome, the first Tejano act ever to sell out the venue. Emilio's wife walked in. You okay? She sold out the Astrodome, Emilio said, his voice hollow. I know. It's incredible. I've been doing this for 10 years, Emilio said. 10 years, and she just... He couldn't finish the sentence. Because what Selena had done wasn't just break a record. She'd shattered the ceiling everyone said existed. She'd proved that Tejano could be bigger than anyone imagined. And she'd done it while being everything the industry said couldn't work. Young, female, untraditional. On stage that night, Selena looked out at 61,000 people, a sea of faces stretching into darkness, and she felt something shift. This wasn't about proving people wrong anymore. This was about showing people what was possible. Houston, she screamed into the microphone. Are you ready? The roar was deafening. She launched into her set, and for 2 hours, the Astrodome belonged to her. Every major Tejano figure was watching, either there in person or on TV or hearing about it the next day. And they all understood the same thing. Tejano music had just changed forever. But here's what nobody saw. The cost. After the Astrodome, Selena's schedule became inhuman. More shows, bigger venues, more pressure. She was the face of Tejano now, carrying the weight of an entire genre's legitimacy. If she failed, it would set back female Tejano artists for another generation. If she succeeded, doors would open. The exhaustion was real, the pressure was crushing, and the industry still questioned her. Radio programmers asked if she was too pop. Venue owners wondered if the Astrodome was a fluke. Journalists wanted to know when she'd settle down, get married, have kids, as if her career was just a phase. Emilio, meanwhile, pivoted. If he couldn't compete with Selena in Tejano, he'd go country. He started recording English-language country albums, trying to cross over. But Selena was already 3 steps ahead. She was planning her own crossover, but she wasn't abandoning Tejano. She was expanding it. 1993 Grammy Awards. Selena became the first Tejano artist to win Best Mexican-American Album for Selena Live. When she accepted the award, she thanked her family, her fans, and then she said something that made Emilio, watching from home, finally understand. "This award isn't just for me," Selena said, holding the Grammy. "It's for every Tejano artist who's been told their music isn't good enough for the mainstream. We're here. We're not going anywhere, and we're just getting started." Emilio turned off the TV. His wife looked at him. "You okay?" "I was wrong about her," Emilio said quietly. "What?" "I thought she was trying to take something from me. My spotlight, my crown, my industry." He paused. "But she wasn't taking anything. She was building something bigger, and I was too proud to see it." By 1994, Selena was working on her English-language crossover album, the album that would introduce her to mainstream America, the album that would make her not just the Queen of Tejano, but a global superstar. She was recording Dreaming of You when she got a call. Emilio wanted to meet. They met at a quiet restaurant in San Antonio, the first time they'd spoken privately in years. Emilio looked older, tired. The country crossover hadn't worked. He was still a Tejano star, but the momentum had shifted entirely to Selena. "I owe you an apology," Emilio said, "for what I said, for how I treated you, for being threatened." Selena finished gently. Emilio nodded. "I told myself it was about preserving Tejano's authenticity. But really, I was just scared. Scared that you were better than me. Scared that everything I built could be eclipsed by someone who made it look effortless." Selena shook her head. "It was never effortless, Emilio. I worked myself to exhaustion every single day. The difference is, you got to work hard and be celebrated. I had to work hard and justify my existence." "I know," Emilio said, "and I made it harder. I'm sorry." Selena was quiet for a moment. "You know what's funny? I looked up to you when I started. You were everything I wanted to be. Confident, successful, respected. It hurt when you dismissed me. I was an idiot. You were scared. We all are, of being replaced, of becoming irrelevant." She smiled. "But here's what I learned. There's room for all of us. Tejano doesn't die because I do something different. It grows. You could have grown with it." Emilio met her eyes. "You're going to be huge. This English album. You're going to be bigger than Tejano, bigger than Texas, bigger than all of us." "Maybe," Selena said, "but I'll never forget where I came from. Tejano made me. I'm not leaving it behind." They talked for another hour. When they left, something had shifted. Not quite friendship, but understanding. Respect. Selena walked to her car, thinking about the crossover album, about the future, about everything that was coming. She was 23 years old. The world was opening up in front of her. English radio was ready. MTV was interested. Film offers were coming in. Everything she'd worked for was about to pay off. The album was almost done, just a few more sessions. But time, as it turned out, was the one thing she didn't have. March 31st, 1995. Selena Quintanilla was murdered. She was 23 years old. The crossover album was unfinished. The mainstream career was just beginning. Everything was ahead of her, and then it stopped. Dreaming of You was released posthumously. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. It became the fastest-selling album by a female artist in history at that time. The crossover she'd been building toward for years happened, but she wasn't there to see it. Emilio Navaira was asked to perform at a Selena tribute concert. He stood on stage, in front of thousands, and he said something that stayed with everyone who heard it. I spent years trying to keep Tejano the way it was, Emilio said, his voice breaking. I fought against change. I fought against Selena, and I was wrong. She wasn't destroying Tejano. She was saving it. She was showing the world that our music, our culture, our voices mattered, and I tried to stop her because I was afraid of losing what I had. He paused, wiping his eyes. Selena taught me that real strength isn't holding on to the past. It's building the future, and she built a future she never got to live in. In the years after Selena's death, something remarkable happened. Female Tejano artists started emerging, dozens of them. Young women who'd grown up watching Selena, who'd seen her break every barrier, who believed they could do it too. The industry that had told Selena to get back to the kitchen now actively sought female talent, because Selena had proved that women didn't just belong in Tejano, they could dominate it. Emilio Navaira continued performing until his death in 2016. In interviews, he always spoke about Selena with reverence. The rivalry, the resentment, the fear, it had all transformed into something else: gratitude. She made me better, he said in one of his last interviews. Not by beating me, but by showing me what courage looked like. She walked into rooms where she wasn't wanted and made them beg her to stay. That's not talent. That's power. Today, Selena's legacy in Tejano is undeniable. She's not just remembered as a great artist, she's remembered as the person who changed what was possible, who took a genre built by men, for men, and proved it belonged to everyone. The 1987 Tejano Music Awards, when a man yelled at 16-year-old Selena to get back to the kitchen, that moment became a turning point. Not because of what was said, but because of how she responded. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She just kept working, kept performing, kept proving, until the entire industry had no choice but to recognize what she'd known all along. Talent doesn't have a gender. Excellence doesn't require permission. And sometimes the people who fight hardest against change are just afraid of being left behind. Selena Quintanilla didn't wait for Tejano music to make room for her. She took the stage, demanded respect, and changed everything. And the men who said it couldn't be done had to watch as she did exactly that. If this story moved you, remember that every barrier that's been broken was broken by someone who refused to accept no as an answer. Someone who heard "you can't" and decided to prove them wrong. Not with anger, but with excellence. Selena didn't destroy Tejano music. She fulfilled its promise. She showed the world what it could be. And in doing so, she became eternal.